Hi guys, Taylor Cocke here for Yahoo Esports. I am at BlizzCon and I'm here with my two good friends, Zorine Te and Rod Breslau, also known as Slash, or some of you guys might know him better as that. And guys, I really wanted to talk about the new Overwatch League that was just announced here at BlizzCon. What are your initial impressions? Because it seems to be a bit of a controversial topic at the moment.
It is, and it's funny because Rod and I were discussing this earlier. I'm a fan, basically. Okay. I like it. I think it's a great idea, and I think it's what esports needs right now.
Rod, you seem to have a little
very succinct there, Zorine. no context.
I will break it down later, but I'd like to hear what you think first.
Well, this is a piece of news that's been rumored since the beginning of January, all the way back at the beginning of the year. And from hearing all the details that we heard today, I do generally think it is a positive thing.
Okay.
All things considered, it is a good move for esports in general, because any way that we can get towards a larger circuit for the game, I think is a good thing.
Yeah,
now,
absolutely.
of course, Valve has a different approach to a Riot, for example, in the way they run their games. But I would think it's hard to argue against Riot and LCS being bad for League of Legends. So, in a general sense, I do think the League is probably pretty good for Overwatch.
I mean, I think it's a really interesting point that if you're going to compare it to the LCS, specifically in the fact that the LCS is not franchised, it seems that this league is going to be a franchised league. So teams are going to have to buy into the league, and once they're in, they're going to have a permanent spot, and they're just going to be able to basically stay there until they decide to sell their team. How do you guys feel about the idea of franchising in the esports?
I mean, I see the benefit of it as, so the way Blizzard phrased it in their announcement was they want to promote like local scenes, local cities, and like having like local players come up.
Like the teams are going to be based in cities.
Right, yeah, for a longer period of time, and franchising helps that. So, you know, fans who buy like team jerseys or merchandise, they can say, like, they can do all this stuff knowing that their teams will be around for a long time to come, and I think that benefits the scene as a whole.
What do you think, Rod? Do you think this is good?
I mean, franchising has been a big topic, both within LCS and I'm sure to come with the Overwatch League. It's good for the owners, because then those guys who paid $1 million to buy an LCS spot or whatever, an Overwatch spot, won't have a fear of losing out in 6 months because they didn't put together a good team. So they're happy with it. And I think the fans also, to some extent, having consistency does help them to be able to see the same brands every year and be able to know that their favorite team is automatically going to be in the league. They don't have to worry about their team going down to the next level. I mean, but relegation is still a very big topic. Yeah. It does help up-and-coming teams get into the league. If any favorite teams that we've had in LCS were relegated teams that came up through the ranks. Cloud9 would have never became Cloud9 if there was no relegation process. So it is very tricky on how they want to work things. The city aspect does make it a lot more complicated than even doing traditional endemic teams in that type of matter.
I mean, that brings up the idea: is our teams going to have to? Is this going to be a traveling league? Is this going to be a league that goes from city to city? Mm-hmm. And if so, this is going to get really expensive really fast. It seems that Blizzard is trying to essentially force Overwatch into being a top-tier elite esport. And I'm not entirely convinced that this is going to be the way to do it. It does seem to be throwing a lot of money at a problem that I'm not really sure exists quite yet.
Right. I mean, they're like emulating sports right now. Right? Like one of the other big things that they mentioned was that when players sign on to a team, they're guaranteed like a contract with a minimum base salary and a benefits package, which I think like no other esports is doing right now. Like a benefits package, that's sort of like that's long-term thinking for players.
And right, this is sort of going off your point. You're saying that this is good. This is good, a good thing for the owners. If Blizzard is going to require owners to provide players with a specific salary and then healthcare benefits, not even Riot Games is doing the healthcare benefits thing quite yet. I mean, how does that make you feel for players that are coming into the league? I know you know a lot of the players right now.
Well, I mean, I've always been a big proponent of this entire industry. There's a lot of moving parts, but if we don't have the players, there is nothing else that exists. There is no teams, there is no leagues, there are no events. It is all on the pros and to start things off. So they need to be taken care of. They need benefits, they need high salaries, they deserve it because they're the ones playing the game and dedicating their lives to putting on the best possible show for the fans out there. So anything that could help the players, which includes long-term benefits and revenue sharing, et cetera, is very good for me for the overall health of the esport.
So for this league in particular, is there anything you guys would love to see out of this league? Is there one thing that you're sort of in this announcement that has gone out? Is there anything that you think is missing that is going to really would be the one thing that would really make this sort of the cherry on top of this whole scenario?
I mean, they haven't revealed a lot of finite details quite yet, but I'd like to see how they're promoting. They were quite vague about how players will be picked, spotlighted for teams to choose from, right? So I would like to see more highlighting of amateur players or encouraging amateur players to come up and take the spotlight.
Well, they do have the combine that they talked about, which we can talk about as well. It is something that, for those that don't know, it is essentially like the NFL combine. A bunch of players come to a specific location. They all play in front of all the team owners and coaches, and they sort of pick and choose. They get picked and chosen from the amateur list. Rod, is there something that is this something that you have ever seen before in esports? It seems like a relatively new concept. I know they're doing this in League of Legends right now as well.
We don't got to go back too far. The Championship Gaming Series do not only see the combine aspect, which they had, but also the cities and the organizations that were involved around there. There was a New York team, there was a San Francisco team, there was an LA team, there was a Dallas team. This happened before to not much great success. Overall, in the beginning of our little review so far, I said generally this was a good thing, but there are gigantic question marks around several factors here that I'm not sure are going to succeed. One of them being, I think a combine in itself is very good. It's cool that we're gonna get together hundreds of players to be able to test them in different ways, just like professional sports. I think that is a very cool thing. At the same time, that is gonna come with the cost of breaking up every single team that has been competing so far for the last year together in Overwatch.
And that is going to be a problem.
And that is a big thing. Now, my tendency is to say that's a negative. I think we've seen other esports that have open circuits, like the Valve models I would point to, and that is done rather well without any meddling from the developer to try to force the way the team should work. I mean, to their point, I saw Mike Morheim talking a little bit, and he was saying that because this is the beginning of the esport, they have the ability and the potential to do things where other esports didn't, because the structure was already put in place beforehand to be able to do stuff. Now, I understand his point. There is that time to do a draft, and because the teams have only been together for about a year, which isn't very long,
it's not that long
comparatively to other games,
and some of them not even that long at all.
Yeah, that is true. I totally understand that, but you are ruining part of esports has been there from the very beginning, which is to come together with people that you want to play with, build a team, and to become champions based on your own merit, along with organizations that have gone on before. This is a whole new way of doing things. Not convinced at all this is going to work, and I'm really even less convinced about the cities. It didn't work in CGS. I don't see myself as a New Yorker really caring about the New York Overwatch team. I will care about the players because I care about them on the teams they've already been on, but there's nothing that's really going to make me want to cheer on the New York team anything other than a regular esports team.
Well, I'm hoping that personally I will start caring about my Los Angeles team, assuming there is one. If not, we'll just go back to OGN. OGN's already got a league, right? They're already there.
Well, for now.
For now. We'll see what happens.
I would totally love to cheer for a Sydney team, an Australian team. That the local cities aspect of it actually really excites me.
Okay, well here's the other problem then. You talk about a Sydney team. For all we know, the majority of the teams and the organization is going to be revolved around North America and probably Europe. For there to be a Sydney team, that would require having an event or some type of location in Sydney, which is impossible to play across the whole continent against people in North America. So they want a LAN league, which will be located in Los Angeles or Irvine next to Blizzard Studios, wherever they want to do. That means everyone would be in LA to play on LAN, which would make the city thing make no sense. But if they didn't do that,
they would have to travel.
And then they want to have everyone in different cities, then you have people in New York play against people in LA with 60 ping, and you ruin the competitive integrity of the tournament you wanted to do. And then if you wanted the Sydney whatever team, that's actually impossible to do because it's too far away to have a local market.
They would have to fly everybody out, right? Like theoretically.
I mean, yeah, like I just imagine it as like a traveling event. Who knows what Blizzard plans to do, but I think I honestly like wouldn't be surprised if it was like a traveling event.
That would be kind of cool.
It'd be expensive.
It would be very expensive.
But it seems like we're investing a lot into this.
Yeah. So guys, I have one final question for you. Is the future now? Apparently it is.
I think the future is now.
But we got to go watch some games.
According to the announcement, the future is like 10 years ago.
Oh, fair enough, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
All right, guys, we got to go watch some games. We got to go cover the rest of BlizzCon for us and everybody else at Yahoo Esports. See you later.